Hello there, I'm Aishwarya Kapoor. Now voting has begun for the second phase of elections in Bihar. That is, of course, the top focus today. In the next half an hour, that and much more from India and across the world in the Breakfast News. Let us begin with the headlines. Polling underway for phase second of elections in Bihar. Voters in six districts decide fate of 456 candidates fighting for 32 seats. One Indian fisherman injured in Pak firing off Gujarat coast. Pak Navy captures 24 fishermen and 4 boats on Thursday. More writers join protest against what they term as curb on freedom of expression. But difference of opinion in Sahitya Academy emerges as awardees from Goa say returning honour is not the right way to protest. EU states approve action plan on Turkey migrants, agree on visa liberalisation, discussion on €3 billion aid for Turkey. And major shift in US policy in Afghanistan. President Barack Obama says US troops will continue to stay in strife-torn country beyond 2016. First up, news from poll-bound Bihar. Well, in Bihar, voting is currently underway Voting is underway in 6 districts in the second phase. Well, massive security arrangements are in place as some of the most sensitive areas in the state are polling.
After the high-voltage campaigning for the second phase of elections in Bihar ended on Wednesday evening, today is the big day when 6 districts in the state vote to decide their future candidates. Tight security is in place as many of the districts are Naxal affected.
सब पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस को भेज दिया गया है अपने अपने इलाके में. एरिया डोमिनेशन अभी भी चल रहा है. वोटर्स का कॉन्फिडेंस के लिए हम लोगों ने फ्लैग मार्चेस करवाई हैं और लगातार डीमाइनिंग ऑपरेशंस हो रहे हैं. एंटी नक्सल एंटी क्रिमिनल ऑपरेशंस भी हो रहे हैं. इसलिए हमारी फ्लाइंग स्क्वाड की टीम, स्टैटिक चेकिंग टीम्स, हर पॉइंट पे चेकिंग्स लगी हैं.
Like in phase 1, paramilitary forces are manning the polling booths across the state. The responsibility of patrolling is with the local police. There's also an aerial surveillance of sensitive polling booths. Drones are being used to keep vigil. Video surveillance at polling booths is being done and flying squad teams are in place to address any complaints. Landmine protection vehicles are marching in Naxal-affected areas. 20 companies of the paramilitary forces are engaged in road opening work.
बहुत बड़ी संख्या में पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स आ रही है जो प्रत्येक मतदान केंद्र पर रहेगी ताकि लोगों को सुरक्षित होने का एहसास हो सके और एक कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर हो सके. हमारा जिला नक्सल अफेक्टेड भी है, उसके लिए भी हम लोगों ने पूरी तैयारियां की है. क्योंकि नक्सल अफेक्टेड होने के कारण कई प्रकार के नए सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न्स रहते हैं, तो उन सभी को हम लोगों ने एड्रेस करने की कोशिश की है, लेकिन फिर भी पूरी अलर्टनेस है ताकि किसी प्रकार की दुर्घटना ना हो.
Voting is taking place in 6 districts today. 32 seats in these 6 districts are voting. 456 candidates are in the fray. Voting is being held in Gaya, Rohtas, Arwal, Kaimur, Jahanabad and Aurangabad. Polling began at 7 a.m. and will end by 3 p.m. in 1/3 of the seats, 4 p.m. in the other third of the seats and 5 p.m. in the final third. Voting percentage during the previous elections in these districts was low. The Election Commission had initiated several programs to educate voters here on the need to exercise their franchise. Religious organizations also appeal to people to exercise their rights. Polling time has been revised in sensitive areas. The voting percentage in the first phase of elections was 2% more than the last time, but that figure was less than expected. There is hope that better security and awareness about the need to vote will positively impact voter turnout today. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, our reporter spoke to R. Lakshmanan, additional chief election officer in Bihar, ahead of the second phase of polling about the security measures put in place in the Naxal-affected districts going to the polls. He also talked about the model polling booths in the area.
आर लक्ष्मण जी, सबसे पहला सवाल यह है कि सबसे कम 32 सीटों पे 6 जिलों में मतदान हो रहा है और इसे खास तौर से एक चुनौती के तौर पे देखा जा रहा है, क्योंकि वो पूरा नक्सली प्रभावित इलाका है. चुनाव आयोग किस तरीके से देख रहा है और क्या तैयारियां?
खास करके जो सेकेंड फेज़ ऑफ इलेक्शंस हैं बिहार विधानसभा निर्वाचन 2015 में लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिस्ट अफेक्टेड एरियाज़ ज़्यादा है, तो उसके लिए कुल मिला के 993 कंपनीज ऑफ फोर्स इसमें डिप्लॉय किया गया, जिसमें सेंट्रल आर्म पुलिस फोर्स और स्टेट पुलिस फोर्स शामिल हैं. इसमें हर एक पोलिंग स्टेशन में जो प्राइमरी सिक्योरिटी कवर हैं वो सेंट्रल आर्म पुलिस फोर्स दे रहा है. एंड स्पेशली जो लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिस्ट अफेक्टेड एरियाज़ में उसके लिए स्पेशली ट्रेन फोर्स को लगाया गया। और इनफैक्ट पिछले 2 महीने से इस एरिया में लगातार ऑपरेशंस की जा रही है इन टर्म्स ऑफ एरिया डोमिनेशन, आरओपी, डी माइनिंग।
आज भी एक बम मिला है, पुल के नीचे से बम बरामद हुआ है वहाँ पे।
तो ये सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस का ये लगातार ये ऑपरेशंस चल रहा है और पिछले 2 महीने से इसमें इलीगल वेपन्स, कार्ट्रिजेस, बॉम्ब्स, एक्सप्लोजिव्स ये सारे रिकवर हुआ है। तो इसमें तैयारी मतलब काफ़ी हद तक मतलब पुलिस फोर्स और सेंट्रल आर्म पुलिस फोर्स ने मिलकर किया है। और इस बार मतलब एयर सर्वेलेंस के लिए भी 2 हेलीकॉप्टर्स और 3 UAVs का भी उपयोग किया जा रहा है, जिससे जो ओवरऑल नक्सल मूवमेंट या अदरवाइज ऑपरेशनल पर्पस के लिए इसको उपयोग किया जाएगा। इसके अतिरिक्त 3 लेयर ऑफ पेट्रोलिंग अरेंजमेंट्स भी हैं, जिसमें 3-4 बूथ पे एक पेट्रोलिंग पार्टी रहता है, उसके ऊपर 10-12 पोलिंग स्टेशंस पे एक सेक्टर मैजिस्ट्रेट रहते हैं, उसके ऊपर जोनल मैजिस्ट्रेट रहते हैं। इस तरह से मल्टी टायर सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट हम लोगों ने किया है एंड वी वुड लाइक टू अश्योर द वोटर्स की सिक्योरिटी के लिए जितनी भी आवश्यक तैयारी है वो पूर्ण किया हुआ है एंड दे शुड कम आउट एंड वोट।
उसके लिए वोटरों को आप कैसे इंश्योर करें कि बाहर आए, अपने मत का मतदान करें?
इनफैक्ट आप देखेंगे फर्स्ट फेज में भी 4-5 जिले थे जो लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिस्ट अफेक्टेड एरियाज़ में थे। इनफैक्ट आप जमुई का उदाहरण लिया है, जमुई में पिछले 15 साल में सबसे ज़्यादा मतदान मतलब इस बार हुआ है। और पिछली बार से लगभग 6 से 7% अधिक मतदान हुआ है। तो ये दिखाता है कि मतलब लोग अपना काफ़ी मात्रा में बाहर आ रहे हैं और अपना मताधिकार का प्रयोग कर रहे हैं। और इस बार भी हम लोग इस एरिया में और अदरवाइज भी सारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में वोटर अवेयरनेस रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज़ भी पिछले करीब 45 डेज से हम लोग लगातार सभी माध्यम से कर रहे हैं। टीवी, रेडियो, पोस्टर्स, 1-to-1 बेसिस पे विलेज लेवल वर्कर्स हैं, तो सब लोग मिलके इसमें वोटर अवेयरनेस और वोटिंग के इंपॉर्टेंस और उनके लिए क्या क्या फैसिलिटेशन मेजर्स किया हुआ है।
जो आदर्श पोलिंग बूथ बना था वो इस 32 जो विधानसभा की सीटें हैं उनमें कितने आदर्श पोलिंग बूथ बने हैं?
इसमें 212 मॉडल पोलिंग स्टेशंस बनाया गया, जिसमें ये बेसिक मिनिमम फैसिलिटीज़ के अतिरिक्त अन्य मतलब वोटर्स को सुविधा के लिए भी अपना अतिरिक्त व्यवस्था किया गया है।
तो क्या ये माना जाए कि जो वोट प्रतिशत है गया और ये जो 6 जिले हैं गया को लेकर, वहाँ पर भी इस बार बढ़ेगा वोट प्रतिशत और लोगों में उत्साह है मतदान को लेकर?
तो अभी तक जो फर्स्ट फेज़ में उत्साह देखा गया और अभी तक जो हम लोग सेकेंड फेज़ के साथ भी अपना देख रहे हैं ग्राउंड लेवल में जो एक्टिविटीज़, तो इस बार लग रहा है कि मतलब मतदाताओं का जो पार्टिसिपेशन है ज़रूर बेटर रहेगा।
All right, so massive security has been put in place. Well, our correspondent Pranav Goswami is in Gaya. He brings us this latest report.
I'm standing right in front of a polling station in Tekuna village. This is a very small village in Gaya district. You can see that people are in queue and they are waiting for their turn. This is a very, very important phase. Development has been a very big issue in all these areas. This is a Naxal affected area and Naxal groups have been threatening to boycott this entire voting process. But then also we can see that people have come out from their houses and they want to cast their vote. This is very important phase because ex-chief minister of Bihar, Jitan Ram Manjhi, and speaker of Bihar Assembly, Uday Narayan Chaudhary's fate will be decided in this particular round. We have got one voter. What are your issues? What do you expect from your leaders?
Development and security and road and water flowing. This way and improvement of the price begins very much.
So security has been a very big challenge for Election Commission in this particular round. Therefore, we've been seeing that huge security arrangements have been made to conduct free and fair polling in this round. With camera person D.K. Pandey, this is Pranav Goswami, Rajya Sabha TV, Gaya.
All right, Mr. Nikhil Anand is now joining us on the phone line. Good morning, Mr. Anand, and thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Anand, now we saw 57% voter turnout in the first phase, and going by the queues early in the morning at the polling booths, it seems that this trend is going to continue.
Yeah, good morning, Aishwarya, and today in the second round, we can expect that turnout must be more than the earlier times. And most interesting and the serious problem with these areas going on in election today is they are all Naxal intensified areas, and this has been the area in last 2-3 decades, or better say since independence, has been the area where question of self-respect and dignity was at the forefront. And this all the 32 seats in 8 Naxal intensified districts where Ranveer Sena and the Maoists as well as the local subaltern faced a big conflict. So this has been the area which was the conflict zone of Ranveer Sena, Maoist, as well as the this has seen some caste battles between the upper caste and the lower Dalits and minorities as well. So I see that if any kind of polarization is there, what is people need in great demand, there is a question of development there. So I see this time, at least we can expect a new kind of voting trend should be there, and voting turn-up must be up.
And since you're mentioning about the voter turnout there, we must mention that like in first phase, we saw women outnumbering men. It seems it is in this phase, we are seeing a number of booths that are completely manned by women, right from the presiding officer to everybody at the polling booths. So it's really a first for Bihar.
Yeah, of course. It's really a commendable exercise on behalf of the Election Commission, that in these, particularly in these areas where people sometimes back, they really dared to come out and vote. And now they have a full-fledged women-run polling stations.
Yes.
So this will give a big boost to the common people as well as the women. And in the last 2 decades, 1 decade, after 50% reservation to women in 3-tier Panchayati system, local women have come up and taken a space in local level politics. So now they are very active because of several other exercises like Jivika, like Anganwadi system, and all this has given a boost to women coming at the forefront. And I say that women are slowly taking and covering a space where male were mainly dominant. So, and women are sharing a space not only at the lower chunk, but they are having an aspiration to come up and take the space in parliaments and assemblies. So, I see that in these particularly these 8 districts where elections are taking place today, women mainly, if they come up and it will give we can see and expect our different kind of voting trend as here the question of right and many questions are there, like migration is there, and people are simply living in misery because of they need more facility, and because of Naxal effect, there has been less development there.
Right. So we are seeing a great participation of people there. Thank you so much, Mr. Anand, for joining us this morning. And also women coming out not only in great numbers to vote, but we have all women manned polling booths where right from presiding officers and polling officers to the other support staff, all are women. And also joining us this morning is Mr. Shaibal Gupta, who is a member secretary of ADRI. He joins us from Patna. Good morning, Mr. Gupta, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. Mr. Gupta, now polling is underway in the second phase. Now, speaking about this particular phase, not only this phase important in terms of posing a great challenge for the Election Commission and the security personnel, but also it is being said that in this particular phase, it is very important for the NDA camp because BJP is contesting in 16 of these 32 seats, and it has given an equal number of seats to its allies. So really time for the allies to prove their worth.
Yeah, your voice is not very clear.
Mr. Gupta, I was asking you that in terms of this particular phase, the second phase of elections in Bihar that are underway at the moment, it is a great challenge really, not only for the Election Commission and the security personnel, but also it is very important for NDA camp particularly, isn't it?
Yes, I think, this is in the crucial part of South Bihar, which has been historically a place for radical movement. And if you see, even during pre-independence period, this was the area of main peasant movement and also assertion of the backward community. Here in this area only the Tribhuti Sangh developed. This is the organization of the Koiri Kurmi Jadavs way back in 1930. Now in the post-independence period, when Bihar had almost non-functioning state structure, it have started functioning from 2005 in a substantive manner. Many of the radical social base have been co-opted in the governance structure, either through Panchayati Raj system or through various other social measures, which Nikhil was mentioning earlier.
Yes.
So I completely concur with him. These were some of the reasons why they got co-opted. Now, this is a place where it is very important that the election should take place, and this is a crucial area for. This is a very crucial area for Mahagathbandhan, because I think out of 32 seats, they have about 22 sitting seats.
All right.
So this is a make and break election for Mahagathbandhan. But in case NDA has to get a decisive lead in future,
yes,
they will have to do better. But I think this is a very, very difficult phase of the election.
Right.
And one of the reasons why since Maji has been co-opted in the NDA coalition.
Right. So it's a very crucial phase of elections in Bihar. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for joining us. Of course, this is one story that we'll keep tracking through the day and get you all updates and news from Bihar. But let's move on to other news. Well, shifting focus to the protest by various writers across the country. Now, Telugu writer Bhupal Reddy will be joining the list of writers returning their Sahitya Academy Award. Now, the reason Reddy said is the growing attacks on progressive-minded writers. Meanwhile, a group of Sahitya Academy awardee writers from Goa, including Amitabh Ghosh, Maria Aurora Goto and others, have said that returning the award is not the right way to protest. Now, they want the Academy to officially condemn what they say is the threat to their fundamental right, and are looking forward to the meeting of the literary body's Executive Council on 23rd of October. Remember, at least 30 authors, including Nayantara Sehgal and Ashok Vajpayee, have decided to return the Academy Awards, and 5 writers have stepped down from official positions of the literary body. Well, on Thursday, a 16-year-old Mudhu Thirahali returned her Karnataka Sahitya Academy Award in protest against what she says is the government's efforts to curb freedom of expression.
I am very worried about it. There is no humanity. There is no what you call goodness, happiness. They are all going to take ourselves the bad condition they are going on in this country.
वैचारिक क्षेत्र जो है उस पर हो रहा है, जो वार हो रहे हैं उसकी खंडन करके, और जो लोगों का एक फूड सिस्टम होता है उस पर उसका विरोध करके उस पर वार करने वाला जो वार करते हैं उसकी खंडन करके मैं मुझे दिया गया कर्नाटका साहित्य अकादमी पुस्तक बहुमान, इसको मैं रिटर्न करने की निर्धार पर आ गई हूँ.
I support the protest but not the method, because to my mind the awards are a recognition by an independent body of their intellectual, creative, literary or academic merit, and it would be wrong, it seems to me, to dishonor that recognition.
And following the paint attack on Sudhindra Kulkarni and an open disapproval of Shiv Sena's way of protest, now Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has said that there is no threat to the year-old alliance in the state. Now, allaying fears that the partnership will break, Fadnavis has said that he plans to carry out an expansion of his cabinet after the Bihar Assembly elections, with the Sena BJP severing ties for the Kalyan-Dombival Municipal Corporation polls. Now, Fadnavis said that the Saffron Alliance will contest the prestigious BMC polls together. Now, seeking to drive home the point that everything is fine in the alliance, he said that the fact that the decisions at the cabinet meeting were taken in unanimity without any bickering or tension. Now, reacting to a highly critical piece in the Shiv Sena's mouthpiece, Samna, Fadnavis said that he goes by what the Sena leadership says and not what the newspaper has to say. Now, shifting focus to Gujarat, where at least one fisherman has been injured in firing by the Pakistan Maritime Security Agency. Now, Pak troops have also captured 24 fishermen and seized 4 of their boats near the international maritime boundary line of the Gujarat coast. However, the MSA later released the injured fisherman, identified as Dhanji Bamania, on humanitarian grounds, along with 5 others who sailed back to the coast last night. According to National Fish Workers Forum, a resident of the Union Territory of Fadeo was hit in his arm in firing that took place in the afternoon on Thursday. The incident occurred as the MSA fired some rounds on their boats as warning, which resulted in injuries. Now, the released fishermen took help of the Coast Guard to return to Jahu. However, 24 fishermen are still in captivity of the MSA and they were taken to Karachi. Remember, this is the second such incident of firing on the Gujarat fishermen within 1 month. Earlier on 18th of September, one fisherman from Okha port was killed in firing near the MBL.
15 दिन में तीसरी घटना है। पहले भी एक घटना हुई थी, उसमें भी मछुआरा मर गया था। उसके बाद 12 बोट पकड़ा था, उसमें भी फायरिंग किया था और आज 5 बोट पकड़ा, उसमें भी फायरिंग करके सब बोट पकड़ा हुआ है। गवर्नमेंट और कोस्ट गार्ड को हम रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि हमारे ये बॉर्डर एरिया में सिक्योरिटी ज़्यादा करें और हमारे जो बोट पकड़ा गई है पाकिस्तान में मछुआरे के साथ रिहा करें और कायमी सोल्यूशन लाए।
And now let's take a look at what all is lined up for the day in the day ahead. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 10th annual convention of the Central Information Commission, which has come under criticism from activists as a large number of them have not been invited due to security arrangements for the event. The annual convention of the CIC is a congregation of RTI activists who discuss issues related to the implementation of the transparency law across the country through not-so-formal sessions where they are able to question and counter-question the experts and commissioners. In what is expected to be a historic ruling to decide on the process for appointing judges in the higher judiciary, a 5-judge constitutional bench of the Supreme Court will on Friday rule upon the validity of the National Judicial Appointments Commission to replace the collegium system. Apart from the merits of the NJAC, the bench will also give its findings on referring the issue to a larger bench and the question of recusal of judges who may become ex officio members of the NJAC in future. The Supreme Court will continue to hear petitions on linking Aadhaar with the social and disbursal of subsidies welfare schemes today. The RBI, SEBI and UIDAI have all sought clarification on its 11th of August interim order to this effect. Chief Justice H.L. Dattu set up a 5-member constitutional bench to go into the constitutional validity of Aadhaar. Remember, on 11th of August, a 3-member bench passed this interim order restricting the use of Aadhaar for providing subsidy on food grains and kerosene. A special court is likely to pronounce today its order on the plea of ex-Jharkhand Chief Minister Madhukora seeking summoning of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh as an additional accused in the coal scam case. Special CBI Judge Bharat Parashar had on 28th of September reserved the order on Kora's plea after the agency had opposed it, saying that there was no evidence which even prima facie suggests that Singh was part of any conspiracy in allocation of the coal black to Naveen Jindal group firms. Supreme Court will hear a plea filed by 3 infants against the use of loud firecrackers during the festival of Diwali and Dussehra. Now, besides the centre and the Delhi government, a bench headed by the Chief Justice H.L. Dattu also issued notices to the Central Pollution Control Board and the Delhi Pollution Control Board. Well, on to international news now. Well, after several concessions to Turkey, the Brussels summit yielded an action plan to reduce the flow of migrants to Europe. The EU offered Turkey easier travel visas and talks on joining the bloc in return for its help. They are also considering cash aid of €3 billion. Now, talks with Ankara will continue in the coming days.
The European Union has finally struck an action plan with Turkey in the hopes it will ease the flow of migrants into Europe. In the Brussels summit, officials agreed to an early introduction of visa liberation for Turks wanting to visit the EU's borderless Schengen. They also agreed to open decade-old negotiations on Turkey's application for membership of the European bloc. The deal is a key step towards containing the crisis, but European Council President Donald Tusk expressed cautious optimism.
First of all, allow me to express cautious optimism. And I have to underline, of course, the word cautious. Tonight, leaders took some important decisions that will help secure the Union's external borders. We welcome the agreement of an EU-Turkey joint action plan to tackle the current migratory crisis.
We have agreed with our Turkish partners that the visa liberalization process will be accelerated. This does not mean that we would step away from the basic criteria, which are the rules in that domain. So there will be no other criteria for Turkey, and we'll assess progress made in spring 2016.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel will be travelling to Turkey at the weekend as EU states still consider €3 billion as cash aid for humanitarian assistance for refugees. Several countries were skeptical of Turkey's abilities to stem the inflow, saying much closer cooperation is essential for the deal to be implemented. Merkel called for unity to deal with the crisis. She said it would be unfair to ask EU countries seeing majority of initial migrant entries to secure borders as well. She asked all EU countries to prepare to send security staff to protect the bloc's external borders.
Insofern werden heute noch nicht abschließende Resultate zu erzielen sein, aber ich hoffe, dass wir deutliche Signale bekommen, dass alle Länder ihre finanziellen Verpflichtungen erfüllen und dass auch alle Länder bereit sind, Personal zu stellen. Denn es ist ja offensichtlich, dass einige wenige Länder im Augenblick sehr, sehr viele Flüchtlinge haben. Und wenn die dann auch noch alle Personalkapazitäten stellen müssen an den Außengrenzen, dann wäre das, glaube ich, nicht das, was wir unter einer fairen Lastenverteilung verstehen.
Meanwhile, Hungary, that has already shut the migrant route with Serbia, is threatening to close its borders with Croatia too. It is demanding the European Union creates a joint task force to halt the migrants on the Greek shores itself. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
But in a major shift in its policy, Washington has confirmed plans to extend its military presence in Afghanistan beyond 2016. The US President Barack Obama stated that 5,500 troops would stay in Afghanistan when he leaves office in 2017. Obama said that the troop extension could prove to be the real difference for security in the region, as the Afghan forces were not as strong as they needed to be. Originally, all but a small embassy-based force were due to leave by the end of 2016. US President said a growing Taliban threat makes the decision vital for the country and to the US national security interests. The Taliban's recent success illustrates the needs the US training and mentoring of Afghan forces. Obama said that it should be clear that the only way to achieve a full pull-out of the US troops is through a lasting settlement between the Taliban and the Afghan government.
I've decided to maintain our current posture of 9,800 troops in Afghanistan through most of next year, 2016. Their mission will not change. Our troops will continue to pursue those two narrow tasks that I outlined earlier, training Afghan forces and going after al-Qaeda.
And in the other big story now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has urged Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas to hold talks to calm the recent surge of violence in Jerusalem. Now, clashes erupted in the West Bank city of Bethlehem on Thursday between masked Palestinian youths and the Israeli forces. The violence has been triggered in partly by Palestinians' anger over what they see as increased Jewish encroachment on Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Now, 32 Palestinians and 7 Israelis have been killed in the last 2 weeks of bloodshed. Mr. Netanyahu said that he was perfectly open to a meeting that might be potentially useful. He also defended a massive security deployment in Jerusalem following a wave of knife attacks by Palestinians.
Israel is using exactly the kind of legitimate and the amount of legitimate force that any one of those governments, and those municipalities and those police forces would use if they had people wielding knives, meat cleavers, axes, trying to kill people on their streets. I'm talking about a suggestion that was raised that John Kerry and I and King Abdallah and others would meet. I have no problem with that. We did that a year ago. It was actually fruitful. Could happen again. Why not?
All right, that's all in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.